Okay, so now we're live.
Cool. Welcome to our Facebook event. My name is Lydia. I'm the Environmental and Sustainability Coordinator for the Village of Egg Harbor. I also do marketing and event planning with Jess at the Crest. And I work with Angela and Jess both on the Green Tier Task Force. Angela's not, I don't think she's with us in the Zoom meeting today, but she's the village trustee that basically pushed Egg Harbor to be a Green Tier community. And with us today, we also have our intern, Dylan. Dylan, if you want to give a little blurb about yourself, introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. I'm Dylan Lenny. I'm currently a senior at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I'm earning a certificate in sustainability and then a double major in environmental studies and physical geography. And I'm currently an intern with the Village of Egg Harbor. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Dylan, are you part of the university program? Is that what you're part of?
No, I'm unfamiliar with that.
How did you end up getting connected with the Village of Egg Harbor?
So I had a professor last semester that I reached out to over the winter, and he kind of hooked me up with this program called University Alliance, which is also kind of commingled with the Nelson Institute at the university. And he kind of linked me to 3 or 4 potential opportunities for the summer, and I picked the Egg Harbor one.
Okay, very cool.
So in today's presentation, we're going to talk about sustainability in Egg Harbor and how it can be implemented in other communities if you're not from Egg Harbor. We're going to talk about what the Green Tier Task Force does, what you can do at your own home, and then also what businesses can do to make a more sustainable community. So let's get started. What is the Green Tier? It is a DNR program across the state of Wisconsin, and our mission for Egg Harbor and for the Green Tier is to help communities across the state of Wisconsin move continuously toward a sustainable future through initiatives that promote environmental stewardship, economic growth, public health, and social equity. The whole mission of the program is basically to act locally, think globally, and Egg Harbor, we might have a small population year-round, but we do see our fair share of visitors annually. So we know that what we do here can have a large impact all over the state, all over the country. Our hope is to inspire other communities in Door County and across Wisconsin to also join the Green Tier Legacy Community Program and to become more sustainable. And there's a little map. You can see which municipalities in Wisconsin are Green Tier, and there's also a few counties that are also Green Tier. So our current project for the Green Tier Task Force, we've had a few thus far. We've joined the Green Tier program in 2018, I believe, and we've had a few programs so far, but our current one is reducing single-use plastics in Egg Harbor, including styrofoam. And with this, we're pushing to use sustainable and eco-friendly alternatives, and we're starting this project with businesses. Why are we doing this? Door County is a peninsula that's surrounded by a very essential body of water in the United States, like Michigan, Green Bay. Plastic and styrofoam pollution has been an increasing problem over the past few decades, and we don't want to see it get any worse. We want to try to make it better. And it's imperative for coastal municipalities to be advocates for the health of the Great Lakes, and we can do this through eliminating single-use plastics and styrofoam.
So Lydia, there's actually styrofoam pollution in the Great Lakes. I thought it was just the ocean. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah, well, all bodies of water are connected.
Yeah, that's actually a good segue into the environmental impact of plastics in our Great Lakes. So again, like we stated, year after year, more plastics are finding their way into the Great Lakes, specifically Lake Michigan. And switching to biodegradables kind of reduces that environmental impact of styrofoam and plastics in the Great Lakes. And if you do decide to stray away from single-use plastics, you're directly contributing in the efforts to minimize your trash away from landfills, and then also Lake Michigan and the Great Lakes as a whole. And so I just kind of have a little figure here on the right from a Rochester Institute study that I found. So it was estimated that 9,887 metric tons of plastic pollution per year is derived for entry into the Great Lakes. So that little figure on the right, yellow is the highest density, dark blue is the lowest density. And that's just average particle density in open water. So as you can see, kind of out of all of the Great Lakes, Lake Michigan is probably the greatest affected by plastic. Obviously, from this figure, you can see that the southern part of Lake Michigan is the most affected. But as you can kind of get into the next slide here, there are many what are called gyres, which is kind of influx of how the water moves in a lake. So even though it is standing water, there's still a lot of movement and upwelling. So even if you don't necessarily, see the plastic pollution in Egg Harbor or in Door County or where you're located specifically, that doesn't mean that that plastic isn't transported from that area to another area or from another area into where you are. So I have, a little video here of Lake Erie. Let's see if it'll play. So this is a model from the Rochester Institute, that study that I mentioned. And as you can see, the pink represents where plastic is flowing in Lake Erie. So much like Lake Erie, Lake Michigan, has a similar, movement throughout the lake. So that kind of gives you an idea of how it can move around, even if it's not in front of you necessarily. So again, this project identifies a key environmental threat, that being plastic in the Great Lakes to Door County, and then again calls for organized action that all businesses can take to combat the issue. So this kind of leads into what you can do on a personal level before we get into the business side of things towards sustainability. So first, just some general comments about what sustainability means. It essentially meets environmental, economic, and social needs without harming the ability or prosperity to meet theirs. So the idea behind sustainability is to identify a key environmental threat and then take organized action towards that threat to combat the issue. I have on the right side a figure of what the three nested model of sustainability is, incorporating the environment, society, and the economy. So many people typically think of the environment, the economy, and society as kind of this triple bottom line idea. But instead, it's kind of more useful to think of them as three nested and co-dependent spheres. So this model on the right, the largest sphere obviously represents our environment upon which all economic and social progress ultimately depends upon. So that's what sustainability kind of refers to as natural capital, which provides services and natural resources that we need to survive. That middle sphere represents society, which is our human capital. And then ultimately the economy is the smallest circle, as it's governed by the rules and regulations of the other two spheres. So ultimately, the economy depends on A, human capital, and B, natural capital to exist. And the idea behind sustainability is that you can't really have one without the expense of another. So it's kind of the idea of how everything is commingled. So kind of getting into what exactly you can do as a consumer. You can purchase sustainable service items. So replacing those single-use service items with washables wherever possible. Those are your stainless steel water bottles, your reusable straws, your bamboo utensils, etc. You can also buy from local businesses and farms to not only support them, but also cut down on any transportation and potential, freezing that would happen in that line. And then if you are sourcing from afar, you can make sure that you can buy from a business that has more sustainable practices. So yeah, the next thing is kind of to keep an eye on your efficiency. So you can install LEDs and implement motion sensors in your home. That obviously cuts down on A, your energy use, but B, the efficiency of the light bulbs themselves, which in the end will save you money. You can also eliminate ghost power by implementing power strips and turning off appliances when they're not in use. So certain devices and appliances can still draw power even when you think that they're off, which is called ghost power, and is accounted for nearly 10% of residential electricity use. So an example of this would be, you know, if you leave your Keurig on, it's going to be constantly running and heating up the water. So, you know, if you turn it off, then that's not running in the background. And then this little figure on the right is just kind of some more energy efficiency that you can do in the summer. So, you know, cut down on AC, cut down on water usage, etc. Another thing you can do personally for your sustainability is to start and compost. This does a number of things, reduces the amount of trash that you're producing, which decreases the amount of landfill usage, also reduces the need for water and fertilizers and pesticides when gardening, because the composted soil actually is extremely nutrient rich. So the plants that you would use to garden with would do a lot better. And then again, improves overall soil quality. I have a list of compostable items here at the bottom to just give you an idea of what kind of stuff you can put in a compost. And then in that top right, that picture that I have there just kind of gives you an idea of what things look like day 1 and then on day 30 if you were to use a compost. So. Another thing you can do is, you know, educate yourself on sustainability for the benefit of your household. So, you know, engage and educate yourself, communicate your efforts in sustainability to members of your community, and then ultimately be persistent in your efforts and stick towards your goals.
So Dylan, I saw that was at the Green Tier Task Force page that you had posted, you and Lydia had posted all those how to go plastic-free facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really surprised that chewing gum is made of plastic. I was shocked. I had no idea. I was so bummed.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising. Once you get into the nitty gritty of everything, you kind of see the effect that everything has. I kind of get into some of that here in the next couple slides. So I think this is the last point before what I was mentioning is just some of the little things that you can do. Recycling is ultimately probably the most important of them all. Unfortunately, which is kind of why we're implementing this project, there's a lot of times where using single-use plastics is inevitable. So, you know, in the event that you find yourself in one of these situations, just make sure to be aware of what needs to go in the trash and what doesn't. And you can do this by checking the bottom of the product for the recycling code and then making sure that the municipality that you're in does accept those numbers. I have at the bottom here, you know, typically the industry standard is 1, 2, and 5, but it's different based upon your municipality. So I know that I don't know the specific numbers that Egg Harbor uses, but
also to jump in there, going garbage, they do 1 through 7. So for us up here, it's going garbage or advanced or like the big haulers.
Yeah, and kind of going off of that. So if you were to visit their website, you know, all the information there is laid out. So you can kind of, again, you know, once you get those numbers down, just make sure you're keeping track of it, because sometimes even I know some takeout places, even though you may think that it's plastic and you need to throw it away, if you clean it out, you can still recycle those materials. And then, yeah, here's kind of what we were talking about before, just some miscellaneous things that you can help towards your sustainability goals. Give up bottled water, you know, bring your own reusable grocery bags to the store, cut down on frozen meals by buying locally and fresh food. You know, use reusable utensils and drinking straws. And then kind of going off that chewing gum thing, once you start to get into things, you can kind of realize how plastic is everywhere. So even if you buy that powdered dish detergent that's in the cardboard box that could be recycled rather than, you know, that plastic jug, you know, every little step counts. And then using those milk containers that come in returnable glass deposit, you know, every little thing helps here. So yeah, so in summary, you know, making sure that you're buying and using sustainable products, you know, keeping an eye on your efficiency in your home, compost what you're able to, engage with your community, and then most importantly, recycle. And ultimately, every little thing that you do here, you know, any change that you make does have an effect and is worth your time. And then the last thing is I linked this ecological footprint calculator, which is kind of something interesting and fun that you can do if you're curious about it. I did it last semester in one of my classes. It's essentially this kind of user-friendly quiz that you can take, and then it pops out at the end how many Earths it would take for you. If everyone lived on the planet the way that you live, it would take this many Earths in order to sustain your lifestyle. So obviously on the planet, many people live different lives. So I think I got like 1.9 Earths or something if everybody lived the way that I did. And that's dependent upon the questions that are in the footprint calculator. So it's just kind of something interesting to check out if you're interested.
All right. So you can take those tips and everything that Dylan talked about and use them in your own life at your own house, but your choices outside your house also impact your sustainable efforts. If you're choosing to shop at a sustainable place, if you're taking takeout from a restaurant and they're using styrofoam, those choices all impact the environment in general. And sometimes we don't have a choice in what a business offers us, which is ultimately why we are doing this project. We want businesses to be as sustainable as possible for the community so that they're able to provide their customers with eco-friendly products. So our next little segment will just be briefly about what businesses can do. The role of a business in a community is generally like the face of the community. Everyone, if they think of visiting places, they think of the places they'll go, which are businesses. And they draw in a lot of the people that visit Egg Harbor or any other community. And they have the ability to set a standard for the community in which they do their business. So for Egg Harbor, we really would like to set a sustainable standard, and we're working towards that every day. And if one business is sustainable, it makes it a lot easier for other businesses to also join in and be sustainable. A big thing that has to do with businesses and traveling is ecotourism. It's essentially vacations that are catered for sustainable adventures, natural environments, people doing things that they know won't damage the environment. And there are people that go out of their way to book hotels, plan their itineraries and everything around sustainable events. So ecotourism is really just a form of tourism that involves visiting fragile, pristine natural areas intended to be as low impact as possible by definition. And a large majority of travelers, this is from booking.com, which is a popular booking agency for traveling, sort of like Airbnb. About 80% of them stated that they want to travel sustainably. About 40% of them do. They confirm that they always do, or at least try to. But unfortunately, about 50% indicate that they never, rarely, or only sometimes manage to travel sustainably. And this shows that there is progress in the ecotourism industry and people are becoming more aware of it. It's just the extra step that some travelers need to take to choose that sustainable option over something else that's not nearly as sustainable. As the businesses themselves, there's things that they can do in their own building and their own premise that can be sustainable. One of these things is energy, and they can track their energy using Energy Star, which I know a lot of businesses in Egg Harbor have already done, but it's a great like portfolio manager that you can use to calculate your business's greenhouse gas emissions. You can also replace your light bulbs in your building with LED light bulbs. You can consider switching to other Energy Star qualified appliances, and obviously setting your temperature in your building has a big impact on how much energy you're using. So trying to keep it at a consistent temperature year round that's comfortable will help reduce your energy. Another thing that businesses can consider is your water usage. Low flush toilets are popular. I'm seeing them in a lot more places that I've been able to go. And flow fixture faucets, like the motion censored ones, they'll save a lot of water if someone doesn't accidentally leave it on. Using organic compost in their gardens, in their landscaping, it nourishes the soil and helps retain moisture. It's also just better for the environment to use organic compost in landscaping as opposed to something that is chemically enhanced. Using alternative water sources like rain barrels for irrigation also helps. And then washing machines and dishwashers that run only when fully loaded. Like I know I used to work in a restaurant and we used to have a dishwasher that just ran in a circle the whole day, and it was very wasteful for water. So just upgrading simple appliances like that would definitely help. Your waste that you use in your business, having a recycling plan in place is major for your trash output. And even if you do use compostable materials, that would end up going into the garbage essentially if it's compostable, but it does biodegrade in the landfill and it doesn't pollute the groundwater or the soil. So if you choose to go the compostable route, that's an option, but always recycling, separating your recycling from your garbage is also very important. Having a system in place for handling your hazardous materials such as batteries, CFLs, printer cartridges, that helps keep a lot of hazardous materials out of the landfills. Switching to reusable cutlery is also very important. If it's ones that you wash or if it's compostable ones that will compost in the landfill, those are always a better option than going plastic. Straying away from all and single-use plastic is what our whole mission is, and just incentivizing customers to bring and use their own non-plastic alternatives is also a very important thing that businesses can do to help reduce their waste. For supply chain, you can purchase foods that are certified fair trade, USDA organic, or Rainforest Alliance certified. You can prioritize the locally grown food and other goods from your area. We all know there's a lot of locally grown produce in Door County, and I love when I go to a restaurant and I see that they use another local business's jelly or their eggs or something like that. It's always a good feel. You can purchase products that are post-consumer recycled materials such as toilet paper, office paper, or tissues, things that aren't necessarily going directly to the customers but are available for their use. And you can purchase 100% biodegradable and or recycled content such as like your menus, etc. Marketing your sustainability projects. You can communicate your sustainable story for your business. You know your own customer. You're able to empower your customer and tell them why you're being sustainable and why you believe it's important for them to acknowledge that your business is sustainable as well. Educate on local environmental issues, as we talked about earlier with Lake Michigan. It's a very important talking point, especially in Door County where we're surrounded by water on 3 sides of the peninsula. So it's very important to acknowledge that you as a business are taking a step to make sure that the Great Lakes stay clean You seek feedback from your sustainable or on your sustainable performance from your customers to see if they agree with what you're doing, if they appreciate it, if they think you could do better, or if you're doing great. Maybe they just have nothing bad to say. And you can always share your story on your webpage, on Facebook, on a little pamphlet in your business, on signage, anything like that. So in summary, for business sustainability, you can limit your energy use, limit your water use, limit your waste, buy smart, and market your story.
And Lydia, as you pointed out, there are people that are actually looking for sustainable communities and ecotourism. Like that is a pretty strong marketing tool for people.
Yeah, it definitely is. And if you don't know it's there, you know, if you don't market yourself as a sustainable brand, people aren't necessarily as inclined to come visit and stop by. Like when I think of ecotourism, I think of the Galapagos Islands, because their whole tourism is set off of their natural beauty of their islands and how they like to conserve their environment, essentially. And that's what draws a lot of people there, is just for the sole purpose of that. So I think that's another positive talking point for Door County, is how we want to really preserve our natural beauty here. And this is sort of our effort at not only as a municipality, but for businesses to also just say like, hey, yeah, we want to preserve the natural beauty of Door County, and this is how we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of just to go off of that, I think it kind of gets down to just that, like, feeling good by doing good mentality. So, you know, if a business was to market that they're being sustainable in their efforts by, you know, transitioning away from single-use plastics, that makes the consumer feel good because, you know, I'm coming to Door County to visit Lake Michigan and to enjoy the water, and I'm supporting a business's effort by transitioning away from potential pollution that would enter the lake. So yeah, it's definitely something that you can market and you know, make your customer feel excited about supporting that effort. So yeah, just kind of now kind of just jumping into an overall summary of the presentation here. So again, just to get back to the current project that we're working on, we're trying to transition away from single-use plastics and adopt eco-friendly alternatives. Additionally, we are trying to educate, you know, people and businesses alike about the importance of sustainability. And then ultimately, you know, this is to commit to a prosperous future for Door County's unique environment, it being on, you know, the Great Lakes. Personal sustainability summary here. You know, don't feel like you need to do everything all at once. I know, you know, if you get to reading blog posts or things online of how to live plastic free, it can kind of be initially daunting, some of the tasks, and you feel like, you know, you need to switch up your whole lifestyle. You know, but again, you know, you can try and start with the novice actions, gradually work up to things that might be, you know, more substantially better for the environment, but have, you know, a larger effect on how you live your life personally. But the bottom line is that even if you only take a couple actions to, you know, change how you live your life, you can make a huge positive impact. So, you know, giving up bottled water and opting for a water bottle can cut down on, you know, let's just say 30 plastic water bottles a month if you drink one every single day. So, you know, that has a huge positive impact if you start, you know, compiling all the months in the year and how many you would drink per year. So yeah, this next part is to, you know, be part of the change, join the Green Tier Task Force. You know, you don't necessarily have to live in Egg Harbor, even though we are part of the Green Tier communities. You can just love being here and enjoying Door County for what it is. And then ultimately, you know, use your knowledge of sustainability to advocate for your own community to join Green Tier. If you do not live in Door County or Egg Harbor specifically, you know, there's still room to grow in every municipality.
And I just want to note, if you are watching this or listening and you are interested in joining the Green Tier Task Force or just learning more about what we do, you can head over to our Facebook page. It's just Egg Harbor Green Tier Task Force. And my email is in the about info, so either you can message the Facebook or you can shoot me an email and I can get you in our email chain.
And kind of just to summarize business sustainability. So, you know, the first step would be to assess the problem and define an objective, which is kind of what we have already done. So, you know, deciding what exactly sustainability means to your business and consider the problems that you want to address in your business specifically. And then once you have that down, to, you know, establish a mission as a business. And a mission statement is a big part into becoming a more sustainable business. That kind of gets back into that marketing thing. If you have a mission statement and you can be transparent with your customers about what exactly you are doing to be more sustainable, you know, that's a great way to, you know, receive feedback and then, you know, move forward with your business plan. And the third thing is, you know, strategy. So once you have a plan in place, consider the aspects that you are wanting to commit to changing, and then put a plan in place to becoming more sustainable. And then ultimately, you know, get your results. So in conclusion, there are endless opportunities for Door County and Egg Harbor alike, you know, to utilize sustainability and wellness for not only the benefit of the people who live there year round, but also visitors. And so, you know, as noted, there's an escalation of consumer adoption of sustainability practices and understanding sustainability more and adopting it into, you know, a lifestyle view that you can adopt. And then finally, it's just up to us in order to make a change that will benefit the future and the environment that we inhabit. And then, yeah, we have time for some questions here. I don't know if anybody has any questions or talking points that they want to address, but.
Yeah, let me take a look.
Hi.
Ryan's got a question.
Yeah, Dylan and Lydia, thank you for the presentation. Very succinct and to the point and very good. I had to step out for a moment, but I know that you two are actively encouraging Egg Harbor businesses to transition away from single-use plastics. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience so far in doing that? Some pointed questions. How are you encouraging them to do that? What kind of barriers are you hearing about for businesses to transition away? And then are there vendors, in particular, I'm thinking of restaurants that are carrying these products that would allow them a pretty easy transition?
So yeah, I can kind of cover that. So a couple weekends ago, I was physically in Egg Harbor and going around to the local businesses, kind of spreading the message of the project that we're currently working on. It seemed like everyone was really on board and supportive of the project. I kind of handed out some flyers and contact information for myself. Obviously, with this summer and everything that's going on, businesses have kind of found themselves in, you know, times that they have never had to face before. And despite, you know, being really receptive to the project, you know, just a lot of businesses are finding it difficult in these times, you know, to transition because they're focused on other things, you know, keeping people safe in their business, you know, encouraging customers to come to their business safely. That being said, yes, there is, you know, a lot of easy ways for businesses to transition to eco-friendly products from their distributor already. So there are those compostable materials and non-single-use plastic alternatives that distributors offer already. So you know, it's just kind of a matter of finding those alternatives and, you know, developing a plan to transition to those alternatives. On top of that, you know, it doesn't necessarily, you know, I kind of got into all the little things count. So, you know, encouraging, if you are, say, a restaurant, your customers, and if they're doing takeout, encouraging your customers to, you know, if they're going to be eating at home anyway, you know, not putting those plastic materials in there and encouraging them to use their own silverware, or, you know, if the product that you are giving them is recyclable, encouraging them to, after you use this product, wash it out and recycle it. So, you know, even if you don't transition away from your ways initially, there are things that you can do as a business to encourage sustainability in your consumer. So
Thank
I just
you.
want to note too that the idea of this project first came to fruition in fall of last year. I want to say November, October, November. And obviously when you start such a progressive project, it's a little, you know, it could go either way. Are people going to like it or not? But it was really helpful to have such a supporting community. We met with a lot of business owners, managers, community members, and they were all very supportive of what we want to do with this project and this mission. And it's a lot easier as a community when you support each other like that to get things done. And like Dylan said, every business, every person is dealing with situations that they never thought they'd have to deal with. But it's a lot easier to get through that as a community when you are supporting each other in that sense.
As another follow-up, Lydia, we've talked about the fact that the cost of transitioning to these products, which seem to be a little bit more expensive, is certainly a barrier. On top of the fact that, to Dylan's point, these businesses are really busy keeping their customers safe and their employees safe, and this is not top of mind or top priority right now. But what did you find, Lydia, in your cost comparisons, not to get too deep into the numbers, but like on average, how much more do these products cost that are not single use? And do you think if there were grant opportunities or other funding sources that could help these businesses transition, let's say for the first year, that they would keep that going year over year on their own after that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, any sort of grant opportunity or some sort of funding or scholarship type thing would obviously help a business with this transition. On average, I don't have an exact number off the top of my head, but on average it was a few cents per item or package of items. You know, they might come in like a 25 pack or whatever. It was only about a few cents more expensive, and I know that adds up when you buy more in bulk. But when we met with the businesses back in November, they sort of brainstormed ideas like, what can we do to offset this price? Could I offer like a quarter to go charge if I do takeout? You know, just even like increasing menu prices or something by a couple of cents can help offset that greatly. And it's all up to the business and what they're comfortable doing and what they feel is best for their own business. If they just want to jump in and get everything compostable right away, they can. If they want to gradually work towards it, that's great too. We're just here to offer resources and information to basically teach our community how they can be sustainable and frugal, I guess, at the same time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I looked on Facebook. We don't have any questions on there, but this video will be up on the Village of Egg Harbor website after the fact. So if the people have questions, they can reach out to Lydia. Thank you guys for putting this together.
yeah, no
You're
problem.
welcome. Thanks for joining.
Okay. Bye.
Goodbye.